Hey y'all, welcome to Pleiadian Point of View. I'm Peyton with Peyton Energetics, and I'm a Pleiadian channel and starseed coach. So in today's POV, the P's wanted to talk about one of their favorite subjects, bringing things into your heart. Now, if you have noticed, this is becoming a theme of theirs. This is something that they talk about all the time. They consider it to be one of the most important things that we can be doing as lightworkers and starseeds to navigate the world right now. So in today's video, they're going to take us to the next level of mastery with this, because y'all have heard in several past videos, the P's explaining how to use this simple tool. They've explained all the nuts and bolts about how to do it, and I will link that video at the top of the screen in case you missed it. But this is one of the core tools of the Pleiadians. And what they want to do today is help us take this to the next level. They see that we have been working with this diligently, we have been practicing this, and now they're going to help us step up our game with it, take it to the next level of mastery. But before we jump into talking about just how you go about doing that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. Now, as you know, one of the things that the P's talk about all the time as they're helping us and guiding us through the ascension process is to encourage us to bring everything into our heart. Whether it is something that we are struggling with, a negative manifestation that may have popped up in our life, something that just triggers us in the world around us, they encourage us to bring everything into our heart. And they've explained before how you do that, so I'm not going to go way down the rabbit hole on that. One of the things that we can sometimes forget about this tool is that you use it for the good stuff as well as the bad stuff. So it's a great practice if you're someone who uses this regularly to make sure that you're bringing into your heart what you want to see in your life and all the things that you're grateful for that you already have. So we want to bring into our heart those things that are wonderful, that we love and appreciate in both our life and in our broader quantum reality. And we also want to bring in anything that we have resistance about. So any of those things going wrong that, just trigger us, upset us, we want to bring it all into the heart. Now, what the P's wanted to talk with us about today, about this heart process that is their favorite topic of conversation, is to help us understand that this is something that we have to build some trust around. So as with all of our spiritual and energetic tools, these tools, as you've probably noticed, are not a light switch. These things don't work instantly because what we are having to do is override thousands of years of human programming. So as we start to awaken our consciousness, which we are all doing, we are having to unlearn a lot of stuff. And some of it is just what we have, downloaded and internalized in this lifetime. And there is plenty of that to sort through. But what we don't realize is we're also breaking down thousands of years of human evolution. Old thought patterns, old limiting human collective beliefs. We are doing all of this at an unconscious level as well. So we are really working on breaking down a massive structure of beliefs. So as we do that, it doesn't happen overnight. So when we start to use really any of the tools that we have in the spiritual community, they're gonna take a minute before we start to see the results of them. And the reason for that, the tools themselves, many of them, as the P's like to say, do in fact work instantly. But our human belief structure doesn't. So as humans, we are the ones using the tools, and it takes us some time to let go of our old way of doing things. So as we start to really kind of anchor in and ground into using some of these amazing spiritual tools that the P's have shared with us over the years, it's like learning a new language. Right? You don't get it in one day. So as we start to use these tools, it takes us some time to build trust with them, to see them working. And then as we start to see them working, we get more confident with them. We start to trust them. But that ego mind is always there going, this seems too easy to work. I don't know how that could be true. So because we have that ego mind chiming in to doubt everything or a lot of things, it can take us some time with these tools. And this working with your heart and bringing things into your heart is no different. It's just going to take you some time to work into it, to get comfortable with it, and to start really seeing the results of it. So what the P's wanted to do is help us with that. So what the P's wanted to do in today's video is offer us a little game, a little way to practice playing with this heart tool in a way that's going to build our trust much more quickly. Because let's face it, just as humans, we just don't shift our beliefs all that quickly. Now we can, and occasionally we will, but in general, it takes us some time to persuade the ego mind, that kind of negating voice that we all have, that this new thing really works. So the P's are going to offer us a little tool today, a little game to help us speed up that trust. So what the P's are encouraging today, if you're someone who works with this tool of bringing things into your heart, is to sit down just for 5 or 10 minutes and do this little exercise. Now, the first thing that the P's are going to encourage is that you start to, just closing your eyes and in meditation, start to pull into your heart everything you're appreciating today. So just kind of scan through your life and go through everything that is going well and just bring that into your heart, right? Because we want to bring the good stuff as well as the stuff that we're trying to neutralize, right? And sometimes it can be easy for us to forget the good stuff, right? We jump right to the problems because that tends to be what has our attention in our daily life. But we're going to start reversing that. So the first thing that the P's are encouraging us in this little game is to just kind of quickly scan through your life and bring into your heart everything that's going well, everything you appreciate. You know, it might be your pets or your family or your kids. So just start this game by going through that list of what you love and appreciate and bringing all of that into your heart. And the reason that we want to start with the positive is because we relax the ego mind at the beginning. Because if we jump right into working on our biggest, stickiest issues, we get the ego involved right away. And we want to keep the ego mind on its leash for this exercise. So start out with the positive that kind of relaxes the mind, right? It gets you into a little more relaxed state of being. And then move on to starting to bring into your heart just some of those things that you would like to release. So that might be a negative manifestation that has popped up, might be something in the world that you see that has triggered you or upset you. Or it might just be something small that you'd like to add to your life. You'd like to see a little more abundance, or you'd like to see, an improvement in a particular relationship. So it's always a good idea to start with the easier things first. So go with those smaller things that you'd like to see or correct. Maybe you're having an issue with your car and you'd like to resolve that. So just pop your car into your heart. So start with some of the easier topics first, and then start to work into some of the bigger things that you'd like to see change in your life. Now, as you bring these things into your heart, what the P's are encouraging, they're taking us to the next level of this skill, is they're going to encourage us to just sit with that thing in our heart. Bring the image of it into your heart, but don't try to fix it or work on it. Because right away, the ego mind is going to want to start to get in on the party, right? Because when we're in the heart, when we're centered and seated in our consciousness, in our heart space, the mind can't access that space. They are two different operating systems. So as you start to do this, the ego mind is probably going to get a little antsy. So it's going to want to chime in and start talking about the things that you're bringing into your heart. So we just want to bring those things into your heart and sit with them. Now, as you do this, the next thing that the P's are encouraging us to do is notice how our body responds to these things. So as you're pulling in those things that you love and appreciate and are grateful for, you're probably going to notice that your body relaxes, that you actually start to feel positive emotion because you're thinking about things you love, right? But then as you start to move into the things that you'd like to change or release from your life, you may notice that you start to get tense in the body. And what's happening as you bring these things into your heart is your body is going to show you where you're storing the resistance around that thing. So as you start to get into pulling into your heart some of those bigger ticket items, right? The things that are really bugging you, really going wrong, scan the body again and just notice, where is the resistance popping up? Maybe someplace you didn't even realize. We tend to hold a lot of this in our lower body, those lower two chakras. Or you may notice you're tensing up in a strange place. You may notice that you get it along the back of your neck. You may notice you tense up your face or your hands or your feet. So just notice where you start to feel that bodily resistance. And so as you're pulling those things into your heart, Just give yourself permission to relax any area that tenses up. Just sitting with how it feels, feeling into whatever that constriction is that pops up in the body. Because as you do this, what is happening is you're releasing the resistance because you're sitting with it calmly from your heart. You're acknowledging it. You're letting yourself feel it. And as we all know, in order to release something, we have to own it. We have to see it, we have to acknowledge it, and we have to feel it. And that's what you're doing as you do this exercise. So just notice where the physical body is tensing up, especially as you get to pulling into your heart some of those things that you want to change, that aren't your favorite things right now. And just pull all of that into your heart, the good and the bad, and just sit with it. Scanning the body, relaxing any tension that comes up as you do this. And what happens is you're going to start to turn these things over to your higher self. That's what happens as we bring things into our heart. So as you do this, you're delegating it. You're saying, higher self, please take this. Please convert this to pure creative source energy. That's the function of this heart tool, is to turn things over. Now, as you start to do this, play this little game, just 5 or 10 minutes a day, going through, pulling into your heart some of the good stuff, because what that does is it relaxes you, it kind of primes the pump, and then start to pull in some of the things that you're working on that maybe not be going quite so well. And as you feel, tension popping up in your body as you do this, relaxing into it, feeling it, acknowledging it. And what you're going to notice is it starts to dissolve very quickly. Now, there is a reason that the P's are suggesting this little game, because what happens if you start to make this a practice of bringing everything into your heart, you're going to start to notice how the universe is starting to take care of things for you. So you're going to notice that that thing that you worried about yesterday resolved itself. Something came along. You talked to someone who knew the answer. You're going to find that the universe starts to resolve some of the problem areas. And because you're just pulling everything into your heart that you can think of, you're giving the universe lots of things to work on. Because one thing that can kind of work against us as humans when we use this little tool is we tend to obsess over things. I know I do. I will use this and I will bring the same thing into my heart over and over again and get laser focused on a single thing that isn't working. And so what the P's are encouraging us to do with this little game that they're offering us to just spend 5 or 10 minutes bringing everything into your heart is you give the universe lots of things to choose from. And as you scan back through all that list of things you brought into your heart, notice which ones the universe resolved for you. Because what we want to do is we want to give the universe lots of things to work on. We want to say, okay, these are all the good things. Please bring me more of this. And these are the things I'm struggling with. Please resolve this for me. And when you're giving the universe 10 things to work on, then you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. When you're putting all of your eggs on one thing that you're trying to get rid of, then you start to trigger those unconscious belief systems. This is a way to start loosening some of the belief systems we don't realize we have. And that is bring everything into the heart. As you do that, you'll start to notice as you practice this over time that a lot of that stuff is getting resolved without you having to do anything. And what this little game will do, if you play with this over time, it's going to build your trust in the process. Because you're going to start to see that you pulled 10 things into your heart, 8 of them went away. They just resolved themselves. You saw the solution, someone helped you with something, it just became a non-issue. And that's what we want to do. What we're doing is we're giving the universe lots of things to work with so that we see the results faster. So this little game is going to help you start to really trust this tool, that by bringing things into the heart, surrendering to your higher self, the universe is going to start to resolve things for you. But as the P's always say, they want to give us a way to work up to this because our beliefs don't shift overnight for most of us. Now, as always, as you start to use any spiritual tool, always use your common sense. Don't go out and not put gas in your car going, well, I put my car in my heart, so the universe is going to handle it. Use your common sense. Don't be weird. And just as you practice this, you're going to start to notice that you start to build that trust, that the universe starts to pop in and resolve the problems for you. in a way that you've taken the pressure off the situation, because you've put so much in there that you've given the universe lots of things to work with. So this little tool is going to help start to build trust in the operating system of your heart. And this is how we start to navigate as we move into 5D energies, y'all. It is all about turning things over to our higher self. The higher self is the one that created the problem to give us a little challenge. And the higher self also knows the solution. So as we start to trust that we can delegate, and of course we could do this instantly, but most of us, our human belief systems have not quite caught up to that. But as you build trust by using this simple little game a couple times a week, as often as you feel like it, the more you do it, the faster it will work for you. Then the quicker you start to see that this is actually working, you start to trust your heart more, that when you turn things over, the universe does provide a solution. And what happens is you start to see your life transforming. So this is how the P's wanted to help us kind of move to the next level of mastery with this heart tool. So that is what the P's wanted to chat with you about in today's POV. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.